really good designers, they are not able to like sell what they're saying, but selling is an art, right? So how are you narrating your story to them? So that becomes very important.
The best way to start and grow any career is through getting insights from a seasoned professional who has spent years in that industry. And top of that, what can be better than getting those insights from a person whom you want to become and you inspired from? Presenting to you the Hex Talk, a design podcast where we bring pioneers from the industry to give you actionable and valuable insights about the industry, which will eventually help you to grow and launch your design career. So, today on the Hex Talk, we have a senior design manager from Frog, which is one of the most innovative design studio in the world. He has worked with companies like EY, Publicis Sapient, and Persistent System, and has more than 13 plus years of experience. So, on the Hex Talk, welcome the Senior Design Manager of Frog, Basil Jose.
Hi, Basil. First of all, thank you so much for coming in. I know it's been quite of a journey reaching you out for 6 months now, and finally you've agreed for this
I
conversation.
think I was being like caught by Abhishek. That's how it is. Abhishek was just behind me for some time, and
But genuinely, thank you so much for agreeing to this. I'm traveling 20 kilometers in Bangalore. Yesterday, I got taste of traffic, how it feels like. But thank you so much for making this up.
thank you for having me here.
So, for starters, if you could just start with a quick snapshot of your journey till now, 12 to 13 years of design, just a quick overview.
So I've started my career as an engineer. Like in 2007, I've worked as an engineer for a couple of years, and I've realized that this is not my cup of tea, and I thought I should be doing something a little bit more creative. Then I decided to do my master's in industrial design. So I ran my master's for 1.5 years from Coventry University. Then after that, I've worked as an industrial designer for some time in a startup. Then that company got acquired by a digital company. Like it's been acquired by Persistent Systems. So then there I got exposed to UX and digital side of design. So then slowly I picked up, and I think the industry was also evolving along with me. So there was a lot of opportunity to contribute and learn in the digital space. So then I've been in a journey of consulting for almost right after 2012. Like now it is like 12 plus years
Right.
overall. If I look at my entire design journey, I worked with Persistent Interactive, then Ernst and Young, then Sapient Razorfish, and today I'm working as a senior design manager in a Frog Bangalore studio. Yeah, that's how it is.
Amazing. So, you started your education in engineering, tool and die making bachelor's. What's all about? And you then work for 2 years.
I think that's a very good question, I would say, because when I look back my journey, it was a roller coaster ride for me, but I think to be honest, I was not a studious student in my school days. I was maybe above average. But right after this, the course what I've done pursued is tool and die making, which is like 70% of the course is actually doing practical things, and the classes were like 1 or 2 days. That was something which really motivated me, and I haven't put so much of thought behind. Should I go for this? Or I looked at few things. There was an entrance. People said it is difficult to crack. There was a practical exam after that entrance. Somehow it worked for me, and I joined this. I learned how to make things, and it was all about manufacturing. Like any product, like there is injection molding, there is sheet metal bending, and all of that. So I've got a taste of how things has been built. But then after being in that space for quite some time, I realized maybe I should see who is designing all these things. Like because I could find why something is designed or manufactured in a certain way. So then it was a natural, gradual progression for me to look at who is doing all these designs, and what is the thought behind all of this. Then I decided to learn about what are the good courses and how I can switch to a little bit more creative space. So then, and I, as a person, I used to like sketching and all of that as a kid. So then I thought maybe this might suit me well. So then I decided to pursue the design. So, but when I look back this journey, right, this engineering background really helped me to understand the complexities. Even when we work with some B2B segment products, or any of the complex engineering products, since you come from that engineering background, which I've seen with my colleagues as well, people who come from an engineering background has a good ability to process the complexities. Compared to like somebody who completely come from an art background, so which is a nice thing to have when you are especially in a design space.
Bro, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like, you pursued industrial design at Coventry,
Yeah.
Coventry University. So that's so if you are in UK or how?
No, it was a joined program with MSRIT, which is in Bangalore. So it is the same course, same curriculum, and it was that's why it is MS. So it is 1.5 year course, and like 1 year, like you have around 10 modules, where every module it's a typical abroad university curriculum, and there were also like sometimes professors and other people from different university comes and give sessions and all of that. That was, I think it was, now it is not there because it was not anymore viable, because if you need to pursue the same degree, now you have to go to Coventry and like spend at least like few lakhs for sure.
Why I'm asking, interestingly, one of my childhood friends we've been together since 1819, grown up together. She actually went for the same program to Coventry University this year. And
Nice.
I was keen, very
No, this I think it is. I think the Indian education fraternity should start thinking how best we can like bring in this flavor of design from other design universities also, like, because you get a different exposure, right? And like it is not a feasible option for everyone to travel and like spend so much, because most of the times if you come from a very strong financially sound family, then probably it is feasible. But we take a lot of education loans and all of that, right? And obviously, I mean, like the cream, the seed and NIDs, and like maybe not everyone won't be able to even crack it. So still there is a passion for people to like learn and do things, right? So I think this collaboration and join programs really make sense. But now I don't really see so much colleges. I heard ISD was doing some time back, but I think again they have also stopped, I think recently. I don't know.
Talking about design education, since you rightly touched,
Yeah.
how do you think, like, what's the state of design education in India currently? There's some green areas which are, for example, when you see IIT Guwahati, you see some IITs which have their, design programs. Then you have some NIDs.
Yeah.
And then there are some private institutions also, when you see MIT Pune or probably, some colleges, Srishti, Bangalore and whatsoever. But do you really think there have been a lot of design education maturity in India still? Like, the design as an industry has recently moved in the past 5-6 years. But how about design education?
I think we are also evolving as the design industry is evolving in the education space as well. Because, but one thing what I see is, end of the day, whether it is design education or engineering education or any of it, you are not, the moment you come out of the college, right, you are not industry ready. Because you have learned things and you might have experimented few things in the college, but that's not the way industry works, but getting that industry exposure is very important. Because even that's why, like, when we were discussing, I touched upon the internship, right? So in Frog, like, we spend a lot of effort and importance to like make sure that the internship programs are like being shaped in a right way, so that in 6 months they becomes like experienced with the type of programs, and they are really industry ready to take up and run the programs. So that kind of an exposure, I think that is still missing in our education system, where even though we have some internship programs for all the design education, but then still right after, even when we hire people with like right after the college, like there is a lot of effort goes into grooming them, and I think there is a bit more, I would say, practical work and other things, right? Like, rather than just because people, as we all have gone through that, right? As a student, there is so much of freedom, but the industry doesn't give you that much of freedom. You work around certain constraints, and within those constraints, how will you innovate? These things becomes very critical. But when you are taking up a college project, the stars and moon can be the limit, but that's not the case, right?
That's not the case, right? Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons. In fact, we actually had started Hex Academy because you rightly described self-taught. When we were hiring self-taught designers for our agency, we realized that they actually, were putting down interfaces, but nobody knows the processes behind them. You start with the categories we took. I'm not saying that everybody is like that, but on a general note, students who were coming right out of college, they knew the process, but they didn't know how to apply it. And then there comes a whole new training program that you have to put people through, which needs to be deployable.
Yeah.
Because NID, frankly speaking, like not many people can get into NID. Like you have an influx. Like if you talk about jobs in general, how the industry has moved. Like you are a veteran who's worked across 12 years, 13 years. I've really seen the industry booming in the past 3 to 4, 5 years, probably, where people are actually getting into design, but still people aren't aware. People aren't aware. Like imagine us when I was doing engineering, and I'm a 2020 grad. There's one guy who actually picked UX design, UI UX design, and my co-founder Paras, who's standing behind, he actually got to know that term in the final year college.
Nice.
So how do you think forward? Like how has the industry been changing? How has the awareness been changing?
I think there is a huge awareness. That's why you guys are in the market, right? I mean, people have realized there is a need to make right after the education, make the people industry ready, right? It is. I think this eventually this will happen. Like even the education system will kind of get refined over a period of time. But I think you guys are the frontliners of this. That people can't just get out of the college and go and join a company and make some impact. So they need to be groomed. That there need to be some time given to them, and also it's important to have right mentors and leads working very closely with these junior designers. It is not just about design, it's also about how to handle certain situations. How do we build a psychological safety within the team? So there is apart from the design, there are 100 other things which really matters to succeed in a professional space, which doesn't come from a college or a education system, because the industry is not set up in that way, right? So it is. I think that's how it works, and it is. Eventually, we will have some changes in the education system, but not immediately, because it will take some time, because certain things have been followed for years and people still would like to follow that same format. So. This is what I believe. I should make a change over a period of time, but it will take time.
Yeah, sure. So after your masters, you went with a company which actually got with Persistent Systems, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And from Persistent Systems, you had multiple stints at EY and Persistent.
Yeah.
Then fraud happened. It's been a long journey of design consulting. So I can imagine the best part of being a part of a design studio, design consultancy, is that you get to work on a lot of projects. A lot. Even during a 2 year, 3 years, people are able to work on 4 to 5 projects.
Yeah.
So how has been your how did persistency happen? Because you told me that is where the shift actually happened to you. So a bit more.
I think. When you are right out of the college, right? I mean, you have this urge to change the world, right? I mean, still we all have that fire, right? As a designer, we are in a very powerful position in the industry now, because we can influence people, we can make people right decisions, which can be benefits for the industry, it can be benefit for the users, it can be even benefit for the planet. So you are out with this whole fire, and if you get into a specific company, then there are high chances you get only exposed to that part of the industry, right? Like let's say if you get into medical healthcare systems, like then probably you will become a pro in that space. But since you're right out of the college, there is a urge to learn so many as much as things from different industries, right? So then being in a consultancy actually in your earlier career, that really helps, because you get to work on versatile programs, you get to work with different people. And in a product company, we tend to work with the same set of people, right? But in a consulting, like today you get a fantastic client who really understands design. Tomorrow you get a client, probably they have no clue about how design industry works. Then there is a fun in educating them. There is a fun in finding a common ground with them. So there are many times what I've seen is like, as designers, we really want to push for our ideas, because we believe what we created is the right for the user. But then creating is one thing, but then like selling that idea to someone is a different ball game altogether. And I think in a product company, there is a certain level of selling happens, but still things are a little bit more easier compared to when you sell it to an outsider. But it also comes with pros and cons, because today you work on a consulting company program for like 3 months, then you hand it over, and sometimes it can come to daylight in a right shape the way you have envisioned. Sometimes it won't even come. Sometimes it will come in the market, but it will be in a different shape. But being in a product, you will be able to see the end-to-end process, right? And it also depends on what stage of the product you are getting into that company. So both has its advantage, but my take on this is, when I look at my career, I think it was a good decision to stick around in the consulting space for at least 5-6 years for any designer. And I stayed a bit long because I was really enjoying that journey. I think this gives a lot of opportunity to work in different space, like depending on the companies you work, right? Like in EY, I was working a lot on the financial side. Then in Persistent, I go to work on medical products, and like there are a lot of other like employee experience and all that. In Frog also, like there are a lot of industries which comes to us, like, and I think it's a good place to be in for some time, for sure, like, because you don't get bored with the kind of thing what you do.
Right.
But now I think since I've been in the space for some time now, I also have so now recently what like this, even the consulting space has evolved a lot. Earlier it was like, you just give a solution and you just come out of it.
Absolutely.
But today, like now the programs what we work, like there are programs ranging from 3 months to like 2 years, 3 years. So you can see the depth of effort goes into these programs from a designer side. So you tend to like work very closely with the product owners. I maybe like being in Frog, that is one of the perks, because there is a high emphasis on like bringing product to life rather than just giving a fantastic solution in a Figma file or in a nice render. So I think it is a nice space to be in for some time for any designer, consulting space.
Wow, amazing. And how did that persistent system, like you told me that you were working for another company and then you entered persistent?
Yeah, so basically I was working for a company called Radius Technologies. So they were primarily a one-stop solution for all the industrial design. So we had design research, industrial design, then there is engineering technology, then there is also like a lot of other department like what do we say, FE analysis and all of that. So there is, it was a complete package where you can really deliver, and even the production was also like we had tie-ups with other people. So it was a one-stop shop for delivering a product in the physical design space. Then it was in Pune, so this company got acquired by Persistence, and the Persistent that time again, there was a lot of emphasis on this digital space, right? It was just picking up in the market with the IoT and all of that. In 2012, there was a lot of I would say boom around IoT, and people were talking about connected things, and even because like today when we look at anything, no product is a standalone physical product today. So there is a digital entity attached to it, right? And that's the future, and we all know that being only physical or being only digital becomes very tricky. So we have been brought into their system because they found a value in us. Like, these guys really understand how the physical product works, and we understand how the digital product works. So then there was a very good collaboration happening at this space, and that's how we kind of rolled into this system. And then there were also a lot of good leaders at that time, which was really helped and influenced us to like pick up this space. Well, and I still remember, 10 years back, it was difficult to get a quality article, on certain things. Today, like, you just open LinkedIn or Medium, you get tons of articles.
Right.
Obviously you have to choose which one, but the availability is like much higher. But earlier that was not the case, and either you have to get like actual books and like look into this and like how things work. And the industry was still evolving, I would say, at that time. So
right, because digital design, in fact, that time 2012-14, that is when Android app marketplace actually had launched, and iOS marketplace had already caught up 2008, Steve Jobs and everything. And that's when India actually, since we were exporting engineers, we actually started exporting design, digital design. And that is when you were also at that cusp of it. So how did you shift from industrial design?
This question I always get from many designers. Okay, how can I switch from industrial design to digital? There is no hard and fast solution for this, because for me, if you ask me, it was a gradual transition for me. I don't think I've in fact, at some point in time I was more interested to be an industrial designer when I just moved to this, because the way things work, because the beauty of industrial design is there is a lot of things which you can immediately visualize, right? And there is a lot of involvement, and since you come from an engineer background, there is you as a person, you would like to do prototypes and things like that. Then all of a sudden when we move to 2D, there is a lot of freedom, to be honest. Like, you can make a mistake, you can just delete that file and redo it, right? But then in industrial design, things are, I think it is, you really need to have a little bit more focus compared to it is more or less the same, but then from a relative terms, what I have experienced is, when you give a CAD model for prototyping, and you should be very sure about the dimensions are correct, and these things, and even for 3D printing and all of that, where things were just shaping up that time. Today there are a lot of options for us, but I think I don't have an answer for this, but then one thing what I've done is you need to find out where you can utilize your design skill set, whether it is in industrial design rendering, making a nice rendering, or finding out a right screen layout, or obviously the foundation of the design is almost same, right? For whether you come from industrial design or interaction design, for that matter, because you are trying to solve a problem, and the designer in you always enjoy doing that, right? So it's up to you how you pick up the nitty-gritties of that specific domain, right? You might be hearing new words like information architecture, then there is visual design. So all of these words will be little tricky for you in the early days, but then once you really put that effort to understand, basically it is not a rocket science, right? It's more or less, I have a feeling anyone can become a experienced designer, because end of the day, you don't need to have a degree to define a right experience for any context. If you have experienced good designs, or good I would say if you have got the opportunity to go through good experience, obviously you know what is a good experience, right? Next time when you do something, you will also think, okay, I had this experience, it was really great, can I bring that level of experience to this? So it is end of the day, we all are doing problem solving. So whether sometimes it will be in a physical world, sometimes it will be in a digital world. So I think there is a bit of effort you have to put from your side to understand the nitty-gritties of that particular design space. But otherwise, the skill set what you have is good enough to thrive in any of the space. Because I know who has who has changed from industrial designer to a graphic designer, then who has changed from an industrial designer to interaction designer, then like I mean we have a lot of fancy designations and names, user experience, service design, like obviously there are difference, but the thing is it is end of the day like I think industrial design is a domain which is like well matured because it was the first thing which has come in the market, right? If you look at the first generation designers, right, most of them are like whether today they might be in a digital space, but most of them come from an industrial design background because that was the only option we had. Like people who, I mean, like, even today in India when we talk about design, people will talk about fashion design or architect. These are the two things which they are very familiar about. Right? I mean, at least in the, probably.
No, right now, today also, like, when you talk about industrial design, that's one of the core design fields, I would say. Like, you have core engineering fields, right? It is still one of the core design fields, which was originally, which had shaped up.
Yeah.
And that is how, and it's so true, that's so true. When you see designers who are probably 12, 15 years of industry, there's a common pattern when either they would have you pursue product design or something, sort of core design principle, and then would have transitioned into a digital world.
Yeah, I think as a designer, what is the best quality what we all have is we are very adaptable. We are evolving in a very fast pace. Because even look at the industry. Like yesterday, I was designing a product, physical product. Today, I'm designing a 2D digital product, and tomorrow I might be designing an immersive experience. We are growing in a so fast pace, and we as designers we are also like polishing our skills and upgrading ourselves to like be in the market and be competent and like providing right solutions to our users and clients. So it is, I think it's like there is no end for a designer to like stop learning. If you need to be in the industry, you need to like continue doing things which is coming in the industry. You have to like experiment, you have to fail, you have to again do it. This is the routine we have to follow, and I think people are doing it, and that's why we are evolving in a very fast pace.
Amazing. And since we've been talking about skills, that adaptability and problem solving natures are actually some true competencies of a designer. What do you look forward when you're hiring for a design in your own organization? Like, what are the skills that you see? You rightly described that, okay, somebody's switching it from here to here, you need to have it here. But
it's a good question. I think, see, it's actually it is very simple, if I look at, because if I want to work with somebody, like, what kind of person you want to work with, right? So you will look at, because you are already working on a project and whether if I hire this person, like whether as a junior level or a senior level, like there are certain things which you are expecting this person to deliver, right? Will this person be able to do that thing? And will you be comfortable having this person around? Not just in terms of design, and also I think in the design industry, culture is a very important factor, right? Because we are very free-spirited people, and there is most of the agencies have like zero hierarchy, right? People are like, you might sit next to your CEO and talk about day-to-day things, and there is, I think that's the beauty of it as well. Because of that, when making hiring, there is one is craft. Which we definitely look at, like what kind of areas this person is interested in, and we will also look at whether we will be able to provide those kind of projects which this person is passionate about. Then we have a round to like see whether this person is a cultural fit for our organization. Does he really understand the values of Frog? If I talk in terms of hiring a person to Frog, so then one thing which, and if you ask me, like one thing which I am keen on looking at is like how now there is what I see in the recent past, there is a trend of having a standard portfolio, right? Like there is a research, there is a journey map, there is an archetype, and there is some very nice images. It can be even, I have seen like the portfolios will look very nice, but when people start narrating it, right, there is no soul in it, because you can see that they found something as a template, and they have come up, they have done all the activities in bits and pieces, but the thing is that they are not able to connect the dots. Like towards the end there is a solution which might look nice as a standalone piece, but there is no connection with what he has done in the research. So how do you connect these dots? Because there is a reason why you are doing these things, right? So when you have right set of insights, how you have translated that insights to a design solution or a design service, whatever it is. So it is for the sake of doing this activity you are doing it. I think I don't blame them for that, because now there is, if you just type a like portfolio, you get tons of options and templates, and that one, like Figma or anything which is easily, you can just go and edit it. You just put bits and pieces of it, and then it becomes a good story. But because of that, I think people are not really, we could really see who has put a good effort in terms of connecting all these dots and like really understood the process and value of it. And there is also we could easily make out, after like going through the explanation, we could easily make out whether this person has just followed a set of methodologies, because it is a practice to have these things. And when you ask a couple of questions, they won't be able to like really connect well with all the activities what they've done versus the outcome they've come up with. So this is something which personally I look at in terms of like how you translate your design research to research insights to a solution, or what happened to all these activities. And sometimes even I ask, why are you doing this? Is there any specific reason? Because that's where the catch is, right? Like now, one thing is that without persona, you don't see anything. It is a good thing. Like you should be aware about how to make a persona, how to make an archetype. But when you directly ask, why are you making this? I've seen people don't have any answer, because to understand the user better. But that is not the answer which you are expecting, right? There is a core reason why you are doing this, because you don't want to miss any important features. Or the services which you are designing for this person. So there is some outcome comes from each of the activity, and people sometimes don't know how to like derive that refined outcome. Sometimes they already know the solution, they make the solution, okay, this is what I want to deliver, and they backtrack. So
this is very common. This is actually very common.
So they would have made up their mind that I want to come up with this. Even for the internship, when we groom our designers, like this is the first thing we say: do you have anything in your mind? Like just path that. Then we are not going to make that. We might end up doing that like after we have a solid reason to do it. This is an easier way to like narrate the story, right? Because this is the outcome, then you backtrack everything. So it is. But it's. But you can really after talking to designers, you will be able to know whether this person really understand all these methodologies, and is there a reason why they are doing it. I think these are some of the things which it is not just me. We have multiple rounds of interview when we hire it. So from our craft side, we will evaluate multiple designers, will talk to them, and then there is also cultural fitment round, where we look at whether there will be a good fit for the culture what we have in the studio. So that's how it works.
So Frog is one very top tier design studio, and I'm sure for a single position of one internship, you get thousands of applications.
Yeah.
And a person when you judge a cultural fit, that actually happens very later on, or probably in the first conversation. But how does that person actually get to the cut when a person from Frog actually calls and I'm like, hey, let's talk?
See,
what's that idea?
I think obviously we look at the craft first. The portfolio is the gateway to any good agency or any company. So if you have a very strong portfolio, at least you will get a call, right? You will have multiple round of discussion.
What's your idea of a good portfolio? Because I know it's a very I'll tell you what I'm looking at as that I've seen portfolios when I was hiring just snapshots of interfaces. I've seen that as well, and sometimes you just see problems which are repeated, and in fact sometimes I've also seen solutions which are exactly repeated. So what is your idea?
I see. If you ask me, it's a tough question to answer, because I also don't want the designers who are seeing this to interpret this as this is the best way to go.
Yeah, right.
So I think you need to have a very strong case study, like one or two. I mean, don't have too many solutions. Okay, like if you have a very solid one which you know in and out of it, that's good enough. Like nobody is going to like have the time to go through all your projects what you've done, right? Like try to cover that depth in one or two program, and then rest you can say that you don't even need to show everything. Probably you will just touch upon the glimpse of each of the project. Like there are some beauty shots, show it, but when you present, you tend to like you choose one which one is for you, which one is comfortable. You take that case study and like then give a solid walkthrough to them. So that way I think it becomes easier for the recruiter, and also it becomes easier for you. Whether you get hired in the same organization, it becomes over a period of time you become very good with like that story and narration, right? And then it becomes easy for you to sell that case studies. So I'm not a fan of like having too many projects, or and now there is a huge demand to have a online website because it is easier, which I would totally agree. But there were also instances like people have sent us PDFs, where like there is very good quality of work. Maybe they don't have the time to people who really spend time on quality portfolio, they really have time to do it. But there are a lot of good designers who are not able to spend time on this, and because of that, they are not able to sell themselves in the market. So not everyone has that patience to compromise their weekends, and obviously there are some dedicated people will do it.
Absolutely.
So irrespective of the medium, what you are showcasing and what you're saying is important to me. So you can have it in any format, but end of the day, are you able to sell this story to me? So that's what matters, right?
Absolutely. So, and how do what hiring rounds actually look like at Frog when you're hiring a fresh designer? So number of rounds, in terms of number of rounds, what do you actually look forward to the rounds? I know there's a cultural fit round, which initial phone call with the design manager where you get on a call. How does it all look like throughout?
So we have a structured way of doing it, and we keep evolving on that. Like earlier, now I think one trend what I've seen is, especially in product companies, there are 5-6 round of interviews, and I've heard this from many designers. It actually takes a toll on them.
Absolutely.
And let's say after 6th or 7th round, if you are not going through, and it is a bit of a disappointment as well, right? So if you can optimize the rounds, it's well and good, but also make sure that you don't miss any important aspects of understanding the candidate. So currently in Frog, I think most of our time goes into shortlisting the first set, because shortlisting from 1,000 to shortlisting, making the 30 numbers, and then from there we select the 10. So that takes a huge amount of time, and where we involve senior designers and leads to go through these and shortlist the resumes and portfolio. Then we internally, then there is a individual choice of shortlisting. Then we get into a group, then again 2-3 people go through the portfolios and shortlist. So there is a filtration happens at the first shortlisting itself. So that I think that's where we spend most of our time, because it takes so much, and we want to be transparent with the candidates as well. Also be genuine. We don't want to miss any good candidate just because of the time what we have got in our hands. So we tend to plan this in advance. Then the next thing is our HR will call, and talent acquisition will call and coordinate the interviews. Then there will be first round of interview where one designer will talk to them. Then there is another lead designer who will again, so probably the structure will be more or less the same. They will be asked to give a showcase of their portfolio. So we don't have a studio round, which many studios have, which currently we are not doing it, because I think we have lot of profiles and like getting everyone on this one page, getting everyone's time slot and all, it's a bit tricky. So we are going with but we have a log where we detail out like what was the impression on each of the rounds, and then we talk to them based on that. Then there is a last round where the India studio will or the Bangalore studio head will talk to them to like understand their aspirations and things like that. So when I say cultural, like earlier we used to have like so during the interviews, right, it won't be like it is not necessary to have a very senior person taking your interview, we might also have some like young folks taking the interviews, junior folks taking the interviews. I mean, not very junior, but so that they will clearly tell whether this person, whether I will be happy to work with this person. So it is, I mean, it's hard to judge a person like during the 1 hour discussion, but still you can, I mean, that's how all the interviews works, right? So at least they will be able to see whether this person will gel with me if I get this person on board. Or and we would actually strongly recommend people to keep the bias aside, because if I come from NID, I feel that like there are a lot of people like NID has certain standard, which we agree, but when we get into the interview room, park all of that biases, like where people can come from NID, people can even come from non-design background. We have hired people with really good talent, like you might, like if you say like you are from Karnataka, then you might have chances that this person, there are high chances this person will come to studio every day. Now all of this, like there are lot of nitty-gritties, we don't want to like get into those biases, right? If he is from this state, he will be good, because we all have like biases, right? That which is, we can say that I'm not biased, but then yes, deep down inside our mind there is this thing, and we have to take a conscious decision to like, okay, I shouldn't be like considering these aspects, rather I should like, and also make sure that the diversity, and there is so much of emphasis on diversity. I think I think kudos to Frog leadership for making this happen, because we have a very good gender diversity, and even we are looking at all the aspects of diversity, not just like 50% of men and 50% of women. Like we are also looking at all the other sides of gender diversity, which is a very good thing. And I think as designers, we are advocates of all of these liberal moves, right? So I think it's a good thing to like also execute this in our professional life. So it's a nice
that's
thing. Yeah.
And so what's a funny hiring story? To me, it was one of my most fun experiences was that I was interviewing somebody, and we gave him a case study. Just out of curiosity, it was 1 a.m. I was free and I went on to Dribble. I just typed like, hey, let's see what comes up. And he actually copied the second result. Just copied like literally the second result. And I was like, yeah, you should have at least copied till 5 or something on the fifth page. At least it's 2 a.m. I wouldn't have done it.
Nice.
But what's your funny hiring stories?
I don't have a really funny story as it, but then, like I said, right, I mean, the filtration, the first round of filtration is like, we take that very seriously. So because of that, most of the work what we see will be like unique. So because of that, I think in terms of interviews, I mean, obviously there are like, what we have seen is there is a aspirational difference. For example, as a studio or as a Frog, as a business, we have certain aspirations to dive into certain areas. And when we are looking for a candidate, we might look certain specific skill set and craft which we can immediately use. So there can be these kind of gaps where like the candidate might be like, sometimes the biggest challenge what I feel is like rejecting someone after doing all of this. Every time when we bring somebody to interview, right, the idea is to like look at what are the best skill set this guy has and how we can use this, rather than finding out what he doesn't have. So I think because of this, we know that everyone who comes to the interviews, like most of the time they are like above average for sure. And once we interview and you know that okay, this skill set is something which we don't like immediately don't have because we already have a talent pool of that, but we really like this person. Like now I have to say no or like park this person for some time, which is, I mean, like holding a candidate really doesn't work in this current industry because like the industry is like booming in a very fast pace and like people like you can easily get into a job as a designer if you have a good credential. So I really don't remember any funny stories, but then like obviously after hiring I used to share my stories with people whom I have hired once they joined the firm. I used to say that we were like not very sure about you, like, but then you are an exception and like see, as a recruiter also there is this thing, right? Like when every time when you interview someone and you say no yes to this person and tomorrow that person is with you in a program and if things doesn't work the way you want, then it's a problem for you, right? I mean, nobody is going to question you for that, but deep down inside your mind, I only hired this guy, so it is. But yeah, I mean, fortunately, we are good too. We have like all our hires were really good, so that way we are happy. But we used to share all these stories. Like we also ask them like how, like, in interview, like there is a certain gesture you have to keep, right, while talking, and all you are like I mean, obviously you will make the candidate like very comfortable, but once you get into the job, then you know that like this person was very serious in the interview and like no, he's a very chill guy. So this kind of incidents has happened, but not anything on the interview actually.
Amazing. I think you're talking about the booming industry, design industry.
Yeah.
How do you think it has been transformed in the last 5 years? Because a lot of technology products have been now being built in India with the flow of venture capital, and then a lot of product companies have sprouted up into the Indian startup ecosystem as well. And some companies have really done well at a global level, and which has also taken a rise in the net packages that designers have been making and whatsoever. So how have you seen this market growing?
I think there is a huge jump in the pay scale for designers because one reason is this, because a lot of bigger players globally have started studios in India, and they have certain standards, and now because of them there is a huge benchmark has been set. So every time when a designer look out for a job, they really do what I've seen is like people really know what like other designers are getting in the industry, and because of that the benchmark, there is a huge push on all the industry, all the companies or agencies to like push their limits, and it becomes the only challenge is like what I'm also hearing is like there is a value proposition, right? Why people come to India? Because we are cheaper in terms of delivering things. But eventually, like if you are on the same salary of what US designers are getting, then why will they even come to us? So there is, I mean, this is not going to happen immediately because there is also like inflation happening. So I think the levels have really shot up, but it will sooner or later it will stabilize. But it is a good way because we want our people to have good standard of living, and whether it is a designer or engineer or whoever it is, if you are working in a certain company for like 8 or 12 hours, then you are expected to get what you are worth, right? So that way it is good, but one thing is like for smaller agencies and some brands, it becomes very difficult to get the best talent, because the best talent will take a decision not just based on the brand. They will also look at many other aspects, right? There is salary, there is culture, there is the brand value, and people will also even think about, if I join this company, what should be the company I will be joining after this. Right, it is not. I think that's a very good thing, and people have. See, for example, like what you will earn in Frog in 1 or 2 years, I can guarantee that it is very difficult to get that kind of learning from. If you go to some other company, which might pay you like very good salary, So 1 year you work in Frog, then even when I look at my journey, like the learning what you get is like really good. And unlike some other studios, right, we are not a loosely connected network globally. You know, we have a very strong global network. People travel, people get to speak in different events, and people. There are also a lot of global events where we get to join, and there are a lot of learning programs are crafted for designers. These things you have to take a call, right, as a designer, like what you want. Like, do I need a like amazing salary in my earlier career, or should I join someplace where I really pick up the craft and like polish my skill set, and then like make a like really big jump, I mean, people have different aspirations, so it's again a personal choice, and it is not just the professional choice. People have commitments to take care, right? So there are multiple sides to this, but I think it's a good time to be a designer, like, because you are in demand.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to, I think like with the advent of many technology startups in India, now the focus has also been towards like, okay, how does the experience of the user is actually onto the product, and there's been a lot of focus on to does the user enjoy using that? Like, is there pleasure using that application and whatsoever you call it? And that's how this industry has gone. And it's been very, very. I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and sometimes when you hear numbers, I don't know whether whether it's a bubble which is inflated, which is where product companies are going into something which a US designer would be getting, and these are
I think I get what you're talking about, especially when you talk about products, right? See, this is what I've seen in my experience. So when you talk about product companies, for example, the Cream, Google, ServiceNow, Salesforce, or Adobe, all those companies, there is a component of their ESOP, right, which makes a huge difference. But in reality, when you talk about the salary, the base package, which is more or less very competitive for all the players, but then this ESOP is something which makes a huge difference. Because that shares, and if it's a listed company, then the valuation is very high, right?
Right.
So that's something which most of the product companies as a perk, but which is yet to happen for in the consulting space actually, because first of all, studios, like, you might not be listed, right? Then or you might be attached to some other company, so that provision for giving shares, which is not picked up in the consulting space. I mean, there are like people who have become millionaires right after Infosys got listed, like Zomato got listed. So that can happen only if you join earlier in the career, early in the But now that trend has changed. You can even become a billionaire in few years once you join Google or any other company, because the pay scale is like that. If you consider the ESOP, so it is it's a good thing, but it because of that, it really puts the consulting companies in a tough position actually. I mean, especially if you're doing a lateral hiring, it becomes very difficult, because your expectation will be always high, but the salary range it becomes to like match that level.
Got it. Yeah, interesting space to actually be in. You've been part of the hiring process extensively. You design how the hiring process happens. What are some common pitfalls you see for early fresh designers who are completely, which they're making? What are some common mistakes that you see early designers making?
I think one thing basically it's a 1 hour conversation, right? Even though we say it as an interview, end of the day you want to like give a good impression to that person. Like, there are certain things which you have to anyway follow, etiquettes which is expected you to follow. That is one thing. The other thing is how do you sell the design? You might be a fantastic designer, but selling is an art, right? So how are you narrating your story to them? So that becomes very important. So sometimes we have seen, sometimes we have seen really good designers, they are not able to like sell what they're saying. we have taken that call, like depending on the situation, like we know this person is not able to like really communicate that thing, but still he can really add value to the if you bring him on board. So we have taken those calls, but then most of the time, since it goes through multiple people, right, this becomes an important skill set for you to sell yourself, as a designer. So that in your earlier days, since you are just starting your career, like not everyone has got that charm of selling them. So that is one pitfall problem. I think it comes to them after giving few interviews and after talking to industry people. Like there are some tips and tricks, obviously they will learn, like they will shape the way they will. So one thing what I've seen is if you talk to a consulting company, the areas what they look at versus if you talk to a product company, it is entirely different. So you need to press the right note to like make an impact. So like in a consulting company, like you will get, like I said in the beginning, like there is versatility and there is a lot of opportunity to learn, and there is also this challenge of every day having different people around you, and there is you might have a good client today and tomorrow you can get a tough client. So so then like how do you sell the design to them? But in a product company, probably they will look at how efficiently you are collaborating with multiple departments. There is data analytics, there is engineering department, there is front end development, there is design research. So how are you as a designer, how are you efficiently collaborating with them? So these things you will learn over a period of time after being in the industry for some time. But when you're starting earlier, you don't know all of this, you just go very open-minded, and but end of the day when you sell yourself, you might miss some of the important points. This is something which is common. But since we also know that these people are like new or junior designer, we also like be considerate about that. Like I said, he is a very good designer, but maybe today he's not able to sell him really well or like articulate that solution well. But that's why like when we are in doubt, generally we don't really believe in giving test to designers for interviews. We used to give this test where we are not sure about this person, right? We really want this person, but then maybe for XYZ reason we don't know whether this guy will be able to do well. So then it goes like case to case, it changes. So yeah, I mean, we can also go wrong, right? There can be a wrong hire, right? So there is, I mean, this irrespective of the company having 8-9 like rounds, still you might have a wrong person. But communication becomes a very important piece in selling, especially design, because in other interviews it will be more or less like questions and answers. But whereas you are showing something and you are trying to act like a marketing person, trying to like market yourself and your design, right? So that is an art, I think, that takes time for people to get in.
Yeah.
So
that's nice. And yeah, like if. And one interesting question that I always ask is, if you had to actually start today and you had to get into Frog as a fresher designer, what would your journey would be like? What, like, after knowing everything, you had to restart again as a designer, as you call it. But I would be more biased towards the digital side. So I would be more biased towards the digital side. How would you start?
I think today we have a lot of disciplines, not just experience design. We have industrial design, we have brand design, we have strategy. There are a lot of disciplines within Frog today. So if you're coming for an interview with a portfolio, like the first thing is you should have a very strong, solid portfolio. Because like I said, like you got 30 seconds to make an impact when somebody is going through a portfolio. Nobody will spend more than 30 seconds generally. If you are not able to make that impact in their first resume and portfolio, after that, then they will get into the details. I think you really should have a very strong portfolio to like get into a company like Frog, whether it is industrial design, whether it is interaction design or visual design or brand design. Portfolios, you need to have a killer portfolio, no doubt.
And it is an interesting conversation that in design, as we were even earlier talking that design typically is fashion or architecture or something like that. In digital design, now it has only become experience design. User interface, user experience design. And now, you have these also a lot of opportunities which is opening up, which is, service design and everything. So how has Frog, because Frog has come up into various design fields itself. Like Frog is not related to design.
Yeah.
When I talk to people like Frog does not relate to design.
Yeah.
They do a lot of things that people don't actually know about. So what are other fields that a person can actually look forward to apart from digital design?
So,
To see right now,
as a
what sectors which are actually popular?
I think it is, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of too many, disciplines and terminologies in the design space, because end of the day, only few people are really aware about what exactly each of this design, and there are nitty-gritties to each of this. Like when you say service design, like there are explicit traits which we are expecting from a service designer, and they have to, like, if they are put in a project, then there are certain expectation in terms of deliverables as well, right? But it takes time for people to really understand all the disciplines. So most of the time, it is a easier way to say it is user experience design. And when we, like in Frog, whenever we get into a program, right, we don't get into a mindset that, okay, in this program we are going to deliver a physical product or a digital product. We might end up delivering a service. We might design a service design. So new service design which can generate revenue for them. We might deliver a physical product. We might even come up with a digital solution. We might even come up with a phygital solution where there is a physical product which we will design as an industrial design, and there is a digital app or ecosystem associated with. So we don't go with a predefined mindset that this is a user experience program and it needs to have. So generally when we have more knowledge about the scope in a particular program, we design the team in a way that we see a potential of service design there, so let's pull in a service designer. We see a potential of branding here, let's pull in a brand designer. So we curate the team in a way that where it gives a complete package to the product, like to the client, rather than just one specific piece. I mean, there are cases where we have also done like that, but then as a designer and as a leader in the design space, one thing which you will do is, like, you will look at a macroscopic lens through a macroscopic lens, and then you will also look at a microscopic lens. So it both gives a different aspect, right? So then, like, whenever you look at from a macroscopic view, like, there are multiple opportunities you will see. But when you get into a specific piece of a product, like, let's say I have a bigger ecosystem, but today I want to redefine the mobile application for this. So we have in all our programs, we have 6 to 8 weeks of thorough research, and there are a lot of workshops and techniques which we do to generate right set of insights and concepts. So after that, we decide, should we work on this on the induction design or visual design or service design, or we might even give a strategic report to them saying that maybe you shouldn't even redesign this product. Rather your problem is something else. So it is that's how we actually formulate the team and look at the programs. Like, we don't go with a predefined mindset. Okay, this is a UX. But yeah, I mean, it takes time for people to really understand how much of difference each of these have. There is CX, UX. I mean, we have all of this, and with Capgemini, we have more capabilities now. Like, we even have engineering, backend architect systems, and all of that. Like, there are competent capabilities with the bigger family. We have those capabilities as well. So it is. It goes right after 8 weeks of the program. We really decide what to go, what to do, what makes sense for the client, and it's more of a I think now it is even in the industry, it is not a designer who just comes and tell you do this, then everything will be okay. Now that has changed. Now we take a very there is a collective effort from the client, and both the parties are accountable for it, right? So it is not just you take them through the journey. It is, especially in Frog, we really believe in that. We don't work in silos, we work very closely with the client. So there is no surprise, and each and every step they are involved, because the client knows their product and so problem much better than us, right? I mean, we will take some time to like learn these things. So that's how it works. So working with Frog is entirely different. That's what even all our clients, I mean, believe in that, and like also like that's the reason they always come back to us.
That's amazing. And if starting today, Basil, do you really think you would have gone for a 3-year design degree? Because many people actually get into that stuff. Like, hey, do you really think a degree is really important to get started into design? What are your thoughts about it?
I think, I mean, I would rather put it like this: a design education is important. Like whether you take a degree of like 3 years or like 2 years or 5 years, I don't know. But
6 months.
or you mean like, or you might even work with some designer for like 2-3 years, and you might over a period of time you might pick up the skills. So I think design education is still needed, but yeah, I mean like that is not the only one criteria to become a designer.
Design college is not the only place for design education.
Yes, that's what I believe. Design education can happen anywhere, right? I mean, it is. I mean, like even before NIDs and like Coventries and all of that, like people used to design things. People used to make things. Like no, but there was no education, right? So there was a discipline probably, like architect. Like these are all like maybe like 100 years before, like 200 years before, like still there were artists who used to solve the problems, right? So I think it is, I mean, now there is a good way to like go through this design education, pick up that skill, because that's the way our education system is set up, right? So now in US there are a lot of people who is doing homeschooling, right?
Right. I like
So
that homeschool concept is actually now sweeping into early stages of learning. And
I mean, I'd rather look at it. It's just the beginning. I don't know.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not schooling itself?
But looking at the current socio-economic setup, what we have, if you have a degree, it's a good thing to like get into a job or But I see, imagine like if you are starting something your own, right? You have a fantastic idea and you know how to make it. And there are many people, right? In even like what we call as jugaad, right? People make a living out of it, right? They are not designers. So it is. I think it is I mean, to start a career, I mean, if you are fortunate enough to like go through this journey and if you have the time and money and the support, great, go for it. But if not, still you can. There are like if you really put effort on certain things, you can still pick up those skills and be in the design space.
Great. You're talking about career trajectories. So, do you really think like current space in India? And let's keep it very honest and unbiased review. And I just want to know what's your stance and your experience.
Yeah.
Does a career trajectory for designer who's had a formal education change as compared to a person who has not had a formal education in design? And how does that career trajectory of a designer actually look like across part of 15 years, 20 years? Now you're needing actually design from like how does that career trajectory for designer map into?
I think it's a very good question, because it's constantly evolving now, right? Like I yesterday I was designing a physical product. Today I'm designing a digital product. Tomorrow I might do something else.
Okay.
So as long as you keep up your craft, you can take any direction. So now there are like, you might start as a industrial design, you might end up retiring as a design strategist or a design director. I don't know, like there are, it is, yeah, so it is up to you what are your aspirations, right? Like fortunately we have a lot of avenues today. So I also know that people who have changed, they started their career as designers, then they changed to complete research because they enjoy doing that. And somebody who I've also seen that somebody who has moved from design to strategy, and there are a lot of good examples. Like I also know like front end developers who has become really good designers. They don't have any like design education, but they make fantastic products. In terms of design, and also see it also, like I think no learning is a bad learning, right? Like everything will come handy at some point in time.
Right.
So it is I mean that's the beauty of being a designer, right? Like today you talk to a doctor for a website, or any of their product. There is a certain amount of knowledge goes into your head, right, which might come handy like maybe 5 years down the line. Like we don't know where it will come handy, but because every day you tend to like deal with multiple things, and that's the beauty of being a designer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
That's amazing.
but career trajectory, if I look at from a typical consulting standpoint, like now, like there are two tracks. What at least in Frog, what we have is, one is a principal design track where you won't have any reportees. You will be a sole design individual contributor, and the other one is a managerial track where you will have certain reportees, and you will have to manage a team. I think both comes with its pros and cons. At least in India, there is an acceptance for individual contributor. Otherwise, like in our society, is like after 10 years, you have not become a manager, then you are a failure. That's how it works, right? Yeah. So I think it is slowly changing because people are like started seeing the value. Like I can be a senior designer and retire from my company. It is, and I think only in India we have this. Every 3 years I need a promotion, and that's the way we have been. Like I don't blame anyone for that. That's the way we have been raised.
Probably seeing some. People around us.
So it is slowly changing, but in US and all, US or any European countries, like people are fine with retiring as because they are very clear about what they are doing, right? So, and other challenge is like the reason why people like want to move to a manager or to a higher role is because then only you will get a better salary. Because like if you retire as a senior designer, nobody is going to pay you a high salary like how somebody will get in the US or Europe, right? So there is a constant push for you to like also like move. And move abroad is one thing, and also like that until and unless I become certain, get into certain credentials, I won't be able to have a better salary. I think it's a mindset thing which we have in India. It will take some time, but
I think the salaries have been catching up, so
Yeah.
it won't be far.
it is catching on. At least that's cool. Like thanks to all this product companies, because they are giving equal weightage to like individual contributor and manager, and also they know that not all individual contributors have the skill set to manage a team.
Right.
So because like both need separately different skill sets, right? So
What's the highest number that you've heard in terms of designers?
I don't want to give any number, but then it is
Heard. I'm just saying heard. I don't want the source. I'm just saying heard.
no, there are like people are earning more than 1 crore.
The highest which I heard, in fact, the last 3 days in Bangalore was something around 2.2 CR.
Yeah, it's anyway more than 1 crore.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like, because it's that's
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm shocked. I was pretty.
No, it is.
I was like, okay.
I think that's a new reality,
Yeah.
which is. I mean, it will take some time. I mean, I also have this doubt whether it's a bubble or not. But again, I mentioned this, right? Like the RSUs makes a huge difference. That's where the
Major component.
major. That's I mean, and also like I'm sure like people who has these numbers. Most of these companies might be listed in US, and there is also a difference, right? Dollar.
US dollars. No, what I heard about was actually a company based out of India.
Nice.
I was really shocked with it.
No, it is. I mean, like it is the reality, which I know.
And a huge base, crore plus of base, and I was like, oh man, I'm 30K in India.
No, I mean, that will be exceptional cases, and it is. It won't be like we can't. I mean, that will be the extreme scale, but.
But even on a general note, you feel that I also see, when you see the trends, right, it's been rising up on a general.
See now, like I think the scale has really gone up, right? I mean, like people who come from a reputed college, the scale has really gone up. So it has gone from a single digit to a double digit, right? So it depends on case to case. It is very hard to. I mean, there are a lot of salary surveys and articles, and I think the beauty of this era is like you have access to all of this, right? 10 years before, people won't even believe, right? Like if you say you are getting certain number, first of all, there is no proof, and secondly, I mean, all you have is like Glassdoor or today there are a lot of platforms where people are openly sharing the numbers, right? And because of that, there is also like a constant urge for people to like get more salary, right? So it is. But yeah, I mean, all I want to say is, I mean, 2.5 is a good number. Probably that will be an exceptional case. But then once a year and above has become like at least for the product companies, it has become a benchmark. Like at least for people with certain level of experience. So it is. I mean, this is what I am learning and hearing from the
right. And do you think
industry.
There was a time like 5 years back when coders were rewarded a lot. Like if these kind of salaries were being heard about coders, developers, now it's now getting in design. So I think.
But not everyone gets this. I mean, the reality is like not everyone like you. I mean, like even this once year, what I'm talking about is like a 10%, the cream layer.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like the companies like I mentioned, right, Google or like they might be getting it, but not all the companies. But others, I think still there is an improvement compared to like what it used to be. I think overall there is an improvement, right? Because of the inflation, it is like now the inflation itself is like 6-7%. So I think it is, even if you want to like have a certain standard of living in a city like Bangalore or Delhi, you need to. I mean. People, that's why because of the remote, I mean like COVID post pandemic, right? People have moved to like a lot of tier 2 cities because they are not able to catching up also with the I mean especially if you're like living with a family, as a bachelor it is still fine, but if you're living with a family in a metro city, then obviously the numbers has to be. I think it is it's good, but it's also we also don't know whether it's a bubble. So it might.
Absolutely. Perfect. And I think let's see what happens. I with firing happening, with firings happening so rapidly.
Yeah.
Let's see how that.
I think still we are in a better state because. Still we have that value proposition left, right? Like because we have been like compared to, there is a 30-40% of difference from US salary and Indian salary. So because of that, there is a still there is a better chance for us. But nobody is immune, so that is very sure. So it's, if something goes wrong, then it's there are high chances everyone can impact. But then still in a company, most of the companies, the number of designers are lesser compared to. And finding that niche skill set. I mean, design was a niche skill set till like 5 years back probably. Now it is not anymore niche. There are a lot of talent available in the market. Only thing is that you need to like find out the right talent. That's the thing. So because there are like loads of design schools, like especially in metro, like some are like known, some are like recently started, but still all of them are delivering a lot of designers every year, right? So it is they all will look for some job in the design space. So there is a good market for designers today, and we have moved from niche to like probably I would say rare, I would say. But yeah, I mean, if lot of people are looking out for job, and
rightly said, like, which I feel that more education, and in fact education, if not in form of colleges, in form of boot camps have actually come up. Like they're quite in Bangalore, and we've also in the past we've hired from boot camps. What do you like? Have you ever hired from boot camp graduates or had a chance? And if yes, what is the difference? Is there a difference which you felt between a design college graduate versus boot camp, or is it the same? How is it about?
We haven't. I mean, we have people from non-design background, but then I mean, I don't know. Like some people would have actually gone through some boot camps to
Okay.
like get introduced to design. Then they would have worked on it, and then, but then, like whether, like I said, college or the credential is not what is important. Right? End of the day, what you're able to contribute, or as a competency, what you're bringing on board, that what matters, right? So it again goes back to that same question what you asked. Like, does it make a difference? Like, should I have to like go to a proper design? If you are fortunate enough, go get it, get a degree, come to go to any company with a good portfolio. So this is applicable for all the profiles, right? So it is. I think it is also that trend is also changing, right? Like now nowadays, 10 years before, I used to see like NIT graduate, specifically in most of the
LinkedIn profiles.
not LinkedIn profile, job descriptions.
Okay,
They used to explicitly say that we would prefer to have people from NIT or explicit. Now that has changed at least to certain limit, because it has removed. I mean, like that's not the only place where you can look for good talent, right? There are a lot of other pockets where you can look for right talent. So that is something which is good.
That's
And,
amazing. Yes. Any closing advice which you would give to people who just getting into design or aspiring designers on the last note?
No, I think just like any other profession, right? You get into a profession because of the passion. If you get into a profession with the passion, then you will be really successful. But if you just get into make some money out of it, then probably over a period of time you will get bored with it, right? So because these numbers, what you said, right? This is very inspiring for many people, because like they can start with a good salary and all of that, and at least now even the parents have like quite open about putting their kids in a design school, right? Because they know that they can make a good living out of it. But follow your passion, and if you really believe in making a change in people's life through design, go for it. That's what I would say.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek. It was nice talking to you.